Hello everyone, and welcome to the new season of MLP. It's been a long time coming, but season 7 is finally here, and I gotta say, right out of the gate, Hasbro has made sure this season stands out above all else. Because unlike 1 through 6, season 7 has started off with a non-two-parter, and a focus on a character I don't think any of us were expecting. I don't have to be a mind reader to know that the fandom doesn't like Starlight. The constant mistakes, the regression of her character, and just the plain weird choices the character has made throughout her time in the series makes her a bullseye for hate and criticism throughout the fandom. But now that this character is stepping up to have her 3rd season opener focus, as well as having 2 season finales under her belt as she being the focus as well, it becomes even more important to see just where this character's role will lie in the series and how we can make her a better character throughout the show to give her a little bit more praise than the practically none she gets right now. And with the new season now here, will Hasbro do just that? Or is Hasbro going to paint a bigger target on this character's back for hate comments to come flying her way? Let's find out in today's review of the season 7 opener, Celestial Advice, and All Bottled Up. First off, start off with my favorite character, Spike, who's trying to distract Starlight from turning around and seeing Twilight trying to measure a space on her wall. Which some of my first thoughts were that the new savior of Equestria was getting her own stained glass window, or why Twilight wasn't doing this after Starlight went out to do some meaningless task around town. I mean, for pity's sakes, she's still your student, why don't you just send her out on a weird little mission while you go measure inside the room? We soon find though that the measurements weren't for a stained glass window, however, but a mirror that would show not only all her adventures, but all her friends that she's made since her reformation. Which I gotta say is a lovely token considering all the, incidences she's been a part of. And with a quick little funny gag from Pinky, we head into the main event of this episode, the ceremony. And I gotta say, I love the diversity in this room. Changelings, crystal ponies, regular ponies, all standing around and not trying to kill each other? It's amazing! And the episode keeps giving us enjoyable moments as the 4 individuals, Trixie, Starlight, Discord, and Thorax, are given the equestrian pink Hearts of Courage, which is basically the equivalent of the Purple Heart Award. And this ceremony is filled with some terrific gags from Discord, some fun expressions from Luna and Pinky, and a bit of a funny joke with Thorax and the poor deer just having to deal with his new antlers. Though, on a side note, it is a bit strange that we've never seen a ceremony like this for the main 6. You could say that that ceremony that they had when Discord was defeated back in season 2 was the ceremony, but we didn't see any of the medals there, and we've never seen the main 6 walking around with them or displaying them in their rooms. It just makes you wonder what exactly these guys did that were any different from what the main 6 has done. As the ceremony finishes up, we see some fun interactions from the changelings just trying to understand normal pony life and getting along with everyone else, as well as a good heartwarming moment from Celestia and Twilight. However, the moment is very soon ruined by, of course, mischievous little Discord himself putting in a little thought into Twilight's head. That being, what exactly is Starlight going to do now that she's pretty much over friendship lessons? And I guess this is also what most of the fans have been thinking as well. I mean, what is Starlight going to do now that she's pretty much used the magic of friendship to save everyone important from a very, very, very horrible enemy? I personally, like a few others, would have thought that by this point, Starlight would have moved on and gone her own way, but others have suggested that she's going to turn back into a villain, or the very few of us thinking that she'd be turned into an alicorn. Discord, of course, has been using his very good skill of picking up just the right thing to say to make someone stay horrible, and starts to work with the fact that Twilight doesn't have a plan. Twilight in turn gets freaked out and runs off, with Spike going to comfort her and see if he can help. After realizing she has no plan and no idea what she's supposed to do, she goes to the one pony that she can think of that has always helped her out. That being Celestia. And my goodness, are we getting more talk and interaction from this character than I think I've ever seen from her, and it's not even through the first episode. However, it doesn't end on a nice talk, as Celestia gives Twilight the very unfortunate news that if you have an overachieving student who has done all her lessons and needs to move on, then you have to send her away. Of course, the sadness is clear on Twilight, and she's very understandably upset. This is a pony not only is she seen as a student, but as a friend. And now she has to say goodbye to that friend? I don't think the Princess of Friendship is really good at saying goodbye. But she tries to give it a chance, and using the map for aid, she decides to find a place of where to send Starlight that would be safe and okay. So come on, Twilight, where's she gonna go? Maybe a backpack trip across Equestria? Maybe a trip around the world acting as an ambassador for Equestria? Maybe a placement into Canterlot to be a therapist for those who need it?
Since defeating Chrysalis, Starlight's given the changelings an opportunity to revolutionize their society. Maybe I can send her there.
Or send her back to a desolate wasteland with barely any food and water to teach a bunch of ponies who really shouldn't be learning about friendship, but more how to run their society, and just stay there. My, aren't you the shining example of friendship, Twilight? Good on ya! All joking aside, this didn't exactly make sense when I saw it. As Princess Celestia said, the changelings should be given time alone, practice, and get themselves settled in more than how they are now so that they're okay with working together and eventually becoming friends. Trying to figure out how you can compromise to eat food is not exactly as important in where the frick are you going to get food and water in a desolate wasteland? However, Twilight does run with the idea and sees that it could be a really good idea to send her to the changelings. However, with her panicky nature and overactive imagination, she thinks that one of the changelings will turn evil and try and cause some mischief for Starlight and the changelings, resulting in her to be either chased out or killed. Really pleasant thoughts there, Twilight, really pleasant thoughts. As Twilight tries to figure out another place to send her, can we just stop and take a moment to just love how the fact Celestia has finally learned that phrase, and she doesn't even get mad? It's kind of fun to see that bit of humor from her, and something I could appreciate. Back to the scenarios though, we enter Dragon Country, where I gotta ask, am I the only one that's a bit surprised that Twilight's, how do I put it this way? Throwing some pretty big stereotypes when depicting changelings and now dragons. I mean, I can understand changelings, she doesn't live with one, but she lives with Spike. Wouldn't she figure out that some of the dragons were intelligent? Or at least more intelligent than not being able to understand the name? Or the fact that Dragon Lord Torch wouldn't really have anyone riding on his back? I don't know, maybe it's just supposed to show that she's nervous, but this seems a bit more of a prejudiced Twilight than I thought she was, and a bit more of an odd concept too. But I mean, this one looks okay. Twilight's shown us some good stuff. Starlight gets to cut loose, have fun, make some friends.
What are we diving into?
Lava!
What?
Apparently go out in a fiery ball of incinerating inferno by lava because she couldn't figure out what the heck lava is. I mean, seriously? What the heck would she think it was, Twilight? Some gelatin at the bottom? I get you're nervous, but holy shoot! You had to be this dense to think that Starlight couldn't figure out what lava was? And as Spike points out, you're telling me Garble has some magic resistant hold on her that she couldn't use a teleport spell? Seriously? Twilight tries one last time to think of something good that Starlight could go into. And this one actually seems pretty dang good. She learns more magic with Sunburst, gets to spend more time with a friend. Yes, because Starlight is that stupid that she'd unlock a dangerous, destructive black hole, which could also be used for great clickbait traits from Hasbro to get people to watch the episode. Okay, seriously? You're telling me, Hasbro, that this whole amazing, interesting, and awesome idea was a clickbait material that get us to watch the episode? I mean, good on you for pulling the wool over our eyes, but holy shoot, you really had to do that? Also, on a side note, was I the only one that as soon as I saw this and saw the effects, I started to think of alchemy and transmutation circles? Please tell me I'm not the only one. Anywho, getting back to the episode, we see that through all the crazy scenarios and possible deaths, Celestia has the greatest moment she's ever had in the entire series. Laughing. As simple as this sounds, through this laugh and the story that comes after it, we not only see her open up to Twilight, but to us. We don't see a prim and proper Celestia. We see a Celestia that worries, frets, freaks out, is sad, is heartbroken, and is just a plain pony. Something we've never seen from the great celestial being that guards this land and governs it. The walls of that hierarchy are brought down and we see her for just the being she is. A regretful, open, worrying person who cares so much like Twilight. I dare say she sees her like her own daughter. And Twilight in turn realizes just how much she's connected to Starlight. But that if she holds on like Celestia, she's going to be held back from chances that she needs to learn on her own. And not only that, we even see the origin about why Celestia brought Twilight to Ponyville and how exactly all 5 of those friends interacted with her. But enough mushy stuff as we move on to one of the biggest complaints I have about this episode. We find out that the preview that was put so early on and so detailed is the ending to this episode. I honestly have nothing other to say than wow, Hasbro. Just wow. So, skipping through this mostly, Twilight tells Starlight she can go, everyone smiles, we hear about the whole Changeling Grub Fest, which I still want to figure out what the heck that is, and Starlight and Twilight have a talk. And although Starlight does seem to be happy, she reveals that she actually wants to stay and not leave Twilight. And while most of you think it's because of the magic of friendship, I'm just thinking it's free room and board. I mean, I like my cave and I like my animals I can hunt, but dang, I admit that's a pretty good offer. You learn magic and you get to stay in a sweet castle with free room, board, and food. That's a pretty hard offer to pass up, to be honest. And with that said, the episode closes off with Twilight giving her the mirror, a hug, and then in the little end clip we see that Pinkie has a party vacuum. So if I've got this right, she can put together a party in less than 10 seconds, and she can put away a party in less than 10 seconds. So I wonder if I should do an actual video about who's the fastest in MLP, Rainbow Dash or Pinkie Pie. But we'll talk about that theory another day. The first episode of Season 7 was pretty dang incredible. While I myself may be more of the adventure type and love to see big world building and clashes of creatures, I can definitely appreciate a good character build episode, and definitely one for a character such as Celestia who hasn't really gotten much screen time. The visuals and expressions the characters had were spot on, and the usual highlights that Starlight and Celestia get are now even better than I've ever seen them, with these adjustments made to the characters themselves, and ones that I hope continue to see throughout the series. But we got no time to focus on the ending as a new episode comes right around with the first 2 characters we see in this round, Starlight and Trixie. We see that Starlight is baking and honestly is doing a pretty good job of it, and Trixie, as usual, is getting in the way. She tries to do a bit of transfiguration, making a useful salt shaker into a pretty useless teacup, and Starlight shows her the error of her ways. That in magic, it's not enough to just say a bunch of hocus pocus, but that you have to think it, and examine it, and feel it in your mind. After Trixie gets the lesson, which honestly is maybe a hint that Starlight should become a teacher herself, Trixie starts going on a laser light show of carelessness and starts turning everything into teacups. Girl, I know I like a good cup of tea when I can make it, but dang, you do not need this many teacups unless you want to be a teacup hoarder. And of course, we get a little teacup poodle joke before Starlight finds that her tea cakes are now mashed, which results in turn to Starlight getting pretty angry and either trying to release Darkheart from the remnants of nostalgia or is trying to make Sombra 2.0.
My bet is on Darkheart.
Seriously, I know later on in the episode she'd explain that her magic is connected to emotions, but god dang! Why does it look like the evil of Darkheart is following you around everywhere, girl? Also, I give praise to the artists and designers in the show for making this look very different from the general dark magic we've seen used by Sombra, Celestia, and Twilight. Although it's not perfect and does look a little bit weird in other comparisons of magic we've seen, it's definitely not unwelcomed and actually pretty vibrant and interesting. Moving on, however, we see that indeed, as what's shown at the beginning, this episode is not going to be a focus of Twilight or her other friends, but Starlight herself. This is actually something pretty wanting of me and other Starlight fans, as we've only seen her do what others want her to do, not what she wants her to do. Or at least she would do what she wanted to do if it wasn't for Trixie wanting to learn more magic. Seriously, girl, you just saved the world. I think you can both go on a relaxing time without magic lessons. And through the interactions at the train station, we start to see what this episode's going to be like. While we've seen a good honeymoon phase of the relationship between these two, we haven't really seen the real meat of a relationship with them. Perfect friends do fight, and sometimes they don't. It all depends on the kind of person you have. But, as it also shows in here, it's important to talk it out, not hide it. Back to the episode. The magic lesson for today, transportation. And might I add that I like what Starlight said about the patience and practice of magic. She describes it as not saying some words or just shouting at anything. Magic is about mental creativity as it is about physical strength. Like any skill, you have to train your mind and your body to work with it. And in this case, not only do you have to train your intelligence to use magic, but your creativity. A creature could have the creative skills that could touch the sky and stars beyond, but without any control or lack of practice, the creature's magic could backfire on them faster than a hare in a race. And on the flip side, a creature with no creativity but great power could do nothing but blast beams of bursts or magic at people without any skill, finesse, or understanding of what they're doing. As Starlight also explains, however, there are some ponies who are connected to their emotions when it comes to magic, and that however they feel alters whatever comes out. It does kind of make you wonder, going on to the topic of dark magic, if dark magic is a corruption of the mind and therefore a manipulation of emotions and thoughts and creativity, or if dark magic is just a mental state of mind that anyone can go into. I will say, however, that Starlight's mental state of mind and patience has to be that of a saint to deal with Trixie as a student. Holy shoot, I've taken care of animals and done lessons for creatures before, but dang, have I never had anything that impatient come into my work. Starlight, I praise you. But that's enough in the main plot as we cut to the B plot. That being, the main six are going into an escape room. And for anyone who asks, yeah, this is real. These are real rooms you can go into, get locked into, and have to find your way out. Most of them are very safe, and some even have themes of Sherlock Holmes, cybernetics, or even just animal-like instinct. However, as this one shows, some can be adventure-based, and by the looks of it, this one seems to be in the theme of daring do. Excellent choice, Twilight. Now, as Twilight explains, it comes up with puzzles and different methods of intelligence to find your way out of the room. This is why these are really good team-building exercises and team-building strengths. So, individuals who like challenges like Rainbow Dash, creativity like Rarity, fun like Pinkie Pie, quiet safe environment like Fluttershy, thrills like Applejack and intelligent puzzles like Twilight would fit very well here. Of course, things have to be a competition when Rainbow learns that the time to beat is 1 hour, done by a very surprising group of griffins. It's great to see some diversity in Equestria as well as just general social events, and with the challenge set by our Rainbow Pony, the games begin. Though everything isn't exactly sunshine and rainbows as Trixie loses the map. Okay, Trixie Lulamoon, I get it, you're bad with magic, that's your thing, but how do you miss an apple that is less than a meter away? It's literally point and shoot! Point and shoot! You do it all the time! How exactly do you misaim an apple? Starlight is of course upset, and Trixie doesn't get why. Again, making Starlight get more angry, but this time finally seeing what's going on. With this new knowledge, Starlight excuses herself and runs off to go bottle up her emotions in literally a jar. And this is where we get to see a very dangerous and real issue a lot of us can relate to. Many of us think that lashing out in anger means to everyone else that we're not a good person, that we're too aggressive for everything and no one will like us if we do. But in reality, that's the exact opposite. We're not being a bad person for talking about it, but we are following what's right and healthy to ensure that we have a good state of mind. And this works amazingly for Starlight, as she's scared that everyone will judge her not only for her past actions, but the actions she has now. So kudos to the writers for adding that in. That's a pretty deep and meaningful message to put into MLP. With her anger locked away and Starlight coming back to find Trixie, they go to the first stop on their list, the jewelry store. Aside from a seemingly shifty and suspicious interaction with the clerk, it's revealed that the jeweler has no idea where the map is, and with Starlight getting even more angered and more stressed out, they go off to stop number 2, Sweet Apple Acres. And here, just as we see the interaction with Granny Smith and the jeweler, we see the toll it's taking on Starlight. The lack of energy, the effects on her mane, the lack of enthusiasm just adds to the greater understanding of the character and a greater progression. So again, applause to you writers for adding in this terrific feature. And this keeps going and keeps getting worse until Trixie notices that there's red smoke going into her bag and that Starlight seems very lifeless and like an emotionless husk of what she was. Actually showing concern, Starlight has very little energy to fight off Trixie. And soon the bag goes flying into the air and the bottle smashes to release the dark hot energy out onto 3 unsuspecting ponies. However, before we see some real bloodshed that individuals like me, who don't exactly like Trixie, are very interested for, we cut back to the girls in a 2-mirror situation, where they're basically going to reflect the good side of what should be happening with the friends. 1, the 6 friends are actually talking it out and discussing what they should do, and the other, they're letting their anger become murderous bloodshed by the sign of bulk biceps and wanting to kill each other. Yay, family entertainment! And Starlight is powerless to help her friend, as she literally has no magic and no energy to do anything but barely stand up on all 4 legs. And even more surprising, we get the first song of the season, and it's a bit of a weird one. The song, titled Best Friends Until the End, as strange as it sounds, seems like a satirization of the series. If you think about it, it's like a general pop song. The lyrics of the song, as well as the title, are also pretty generic, and even kind of pokes fun at the fact that they're always singing songs, like was said at the beginning of the episode. I'm not 100% sure if that's what they were doing when they put this song in, but holy Celestia, hats off to you, crew. You're doing some great work in these first 2 episodes. And the comedy even continues, as of course their song breaks is just 2 seconds over the time limit, because they seem to have forgotten the key. Again, I'll let it slide because they were having fun, but dang, you guys need to pick up your game. With the song done and the fun times over, we go back to Trixie trying to run for her life From Bulk Biceps, who's trying to smash her into paste, the jeweler trying to quite literally slice off her head with her hat, and even Granny just punching the daylights out of her. It's not until she's cornered that the truth finally comes out, and Starlight reveals all her feelings to Trixie. And to be honest, I think this is the best kind of episode we could have ever asked for the opening of the season. Now sure, it's not a two-parter, and sure, it's not a big grand adventure like we're used to. But it's something the fandom has needed for a long time. Real progression on Starlight. I think it's ironic that a fandom who has found love in Trixie Lulamoon, Sunset Shimmer, Psy-Twi, and Spike cannot forgive Starlight Glimmer. Practically when everyone mentions the name Starlight Glimmer, hate and pitchforks come right out, but no one can really say why that is. I mean, if you think about it, Trixie and Equestria Girls Twilight have had very little screen time, and yet are considered to be some of the favorite characters amongst fans in the series, even though they have technically done less. In Sunset Shimmer's case, she's had more time than Starlight Glimmer, and she even shares the villain role. And yet Starlight Glimmer gets hate and Sunset Shimmer doesn't. And even Spike, for as many bad episodes as he's had and reverting of character as he's had, he's still more beloved than Starlight. I can't read into the minds of fans, and I didn't do a poll saying why you hate Starlight Glimmer, but I can give you my opinion as to why individuals don't like Starlight. And that's, to the short of it, we haven't ever seen any development from her. Like I said, any other interaction Starlight's had so far is about following Twilight's friendship lessons. But Sunset has worked on her own accord for a while now to do what she wants to do and to put so much effort into improving. Psy-Twi has only had 2 movies under her belt, and yet she still strives to do better and to be better. Trixie, as obnoxious as she is, has tried her best to do some form of improvement, and even admits when she's wrong and does try to make sure it doesn't happen again. I'll admit that for a while I was sure nothing could ever convince fans to give Starlight a chance. But this episode might just be what the character needs. She's not doing a friendship lesson, she's not doing a favor, she's not doing a task, she's doing something she wants, and showing some real good deep down thoughts that she's had. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself and already talking about the ending thoughts. So let's finish this up quickly. Starlight and Trixie have a talk and let out all the anger Starlight's been having. Trixie remembers where it is, and for some reason is at the spa, which I honestly am surprised nobody went running to the princess saying, "Why the heck is there a table in my room?" And Starlight gets the table back, clears everything up, makes sure that Twilight will not know what happened, and the 2 friends bond. And with that, the season 7 opener is done. And to be honest, it wasn't that bad at all. I admit, as I said in the previous episode, I love action, world building, creature examination, and fantasy. Those are the kinds of episodes I love. But I greatly appreciate when the show puts some real effort into real character development and examples. Especially for 2 ponies who were in sore need of some character development. The comedy of this episode was terrific. The expressions, the ideas, the concepts, and even the look into how to use magic is phenomenal. I, honest to goodness, loved what was done in this episode, and I hope this style for slice of life with some actual character development is done more often. And if I had to pick which one was my favorite, I would say that this one, all bottled up, hit a more impressive note than Celestial Advice. Not that I think Celestia is horrible, well, I kind of find her boring, but that's not the point. The point is, I think they covered off a character who needed that development more, much better than a character that, while I think they gave great character development, it wasn't as impactful as Starlight's. And that's all, everybody! Remember, please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more videos. And tell me what you're liking about my work and what I need to improve upon. I always like to hear constructive criticism to improve my videos, and I want to make sure you guys get the best videos I can get. As well, if you have any comments about Trixie, Starlight, the opener, and anything else, please tell me in the comments below so we can discuss. Till next time, this is Silver Starling, hoping that your travels are light and your road is safe until we meet again.